Welcome to the Sonic Boom Video Extras. I'm Jordan Ritter Conn. Today I'm going to take you inside episode 1 of our new documentary podcast series, Sonic Boom, the story of how Seattle lost its NBA team. In episode 1, we tell the story of the decade when the Sonics became one of the NBA's most iconic franchises, the 90s. We tell the story of Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton and Detlef Schrempf and George Karl, of this team that had a swagger and an edge that was unmatched in the NBA. This team that almost dethroned Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in the '96 NBA Finals.
Payton with the steal and puts it down.
We also tell the story of an arena deal that ultimately laid the groundwork for the Sonics to leave town. The big idea we explore in this episode is how sports franchises can serve as markers of identity for a city. So I grew up in Atlanta on the complete opposite side of the country, but I always felt like I knew something about Seattle just because I had watched Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp play. If you had told me back then when I was a kid in the 90s that those two were from the same city as Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder, I'd have said, yeah, of course, that's Seattle. As we were making this episode, the thing that was most interesting to me was hearing the players and coaches talk about the 1996 NBA Finals against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. All of these small things that if they'd just gone a little bit differently, the Sonics would have won the title and Michael Jordan and the Bulls would have been dethroned. George Karl thinks not about any decisions he made on the court, but about the fact that he chose the wrong flight after a game and that may have doomed the team.
I lost that series in a technicality. Our second game of the series was in Chicago. It was a night game. It started late. With an NBA game, it was long. We played well, but we didn't play well enough to win, and we lost. And for some reason, I decided to fly home after the game. In my opinion, that cost us the series because we hit some winds, and we had to stop in Billings, Montana to refuel. And so a 3.5 to 4 hour flight all of a sudden took 6 to 7 hours. We got home at let's say 5 o'clock in the morning. And we had to practice next day because the next game was Sunday at noon. If you go back and look at game 3, we came out flat. We came out awful. We obviously were messed up because, Chicago slept in, probably caught a 2 o'clock flight, got into Seattle, and then probably had a walkthrough maybe at nighttime. Their sleep patterns weren't messed up. Our sleep patterns were messed up.
And if those things had gone differently, if the Sonics had won the title in 1996, I found myself wondering, would that have been enough to keep them in town in 2008? Episode 1 of Sonic Boom is now available exclusively on Luminary.